What's up guys, Blacklist Dan here, back with another episode with Sonnys GTi Golf. In this episode, I'm going to be carrying on the bonnet. As you can see, I've made a good impact on this side, and now I've got to turn all of this here and all of that into something presentable like this. Let's get started. Okay, so the aim in this video is to completely finish this bonnet. As you can see on that side, I've pretty much finished where it needs to be. I've just had to sand down a little bit of primer that bubbled a bit, but apart from that, this part here is finished. So I've got around to here, and I was gonna just finish this entire section and do like a comparison of the two for you guys. But in order to do that, I kind of need this side done as well, so I can blend the filler in with both sides. Otherwise, I'm gonna cause a lot of problems for myself right here. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how I got rid of all of these horrible dents in this. You can just about make them out. Like when my hand goes over it, it's sort of like this all the way down it. So I'm going to try and get rid of all those dents for you. Get rid of all these nasty pieces along here. Probably sharpen these edges up as well. And try and get it exactly like this side. Because as you can see this side, there's no dents, there's nothing. It's smooth, it's lovely. And that's the aim for this side as well. So without further ado, I'm going to get started on this. All right, so the first problem I'm going to try and get rid of with this side is these horrible bumps. And how I done it on the other side, I actually welded a nice long piece of 3mm steel to the underside of these vents. So it was pretty much where that is placed at the moment, just on the underside. And in doing that, I had to clamp it in place first, and it made these horrible bumps straighten out perfectly. Obviously I bent this first, so it kept a nice curve to the bonnet. And when I clamped it in place, it was nice and easy to weld to. All of these bumps disappeared, and it didn't mess with the rest of the geometry of the bonnet. So that's what I'm going with, because the first thing I've done on this side was I tried to panel beat it out, and it made the whole thing a lot worse. It created so much work for myself. So sometimes the simpler things are actually better. And all I'm going to do for you guys is literally clamp that in place, weld it, and it's going to be as simple as that. So it should get rid of all of these little bumps here, and then I can start focusing on making it look pretty. So it sounds easier than what it is, but I'm going to try and make it look easy for you. Okay, so I'm literally going to take my grinder now with a flap disc on it and remove the sealant that was left behind from the inner skin of the bonnet, and then I'm going to remove the paint as well. So I've got a nice connection to weld this bar to. Also, there's probably one other thing you've noticed. I'm wearing safety glasses and gloves. Now, you guys know I never wear this stuff just because, well, I'm an idiot really. But you guys pointed out I'm an idiot in the last video. So now I'm listening to you, and I'm gonna wear these from now on, just to keep you all happy for myself. Safety. I'm gonna carry on with this for you anyway and get this done. All right, if you can see, I've clamped that bar in place now. I've done it off camera because I just wanted to get it done quick. But yeah, it's clamped in place now. This top bit here isn't actually clamped in yet. It's just these bits. So I'm gonna start welding from the bottom upwards, because I don't want any heat to go down that bottom end and cause it all to warp, because I had the same problem on that side, and now I know how to rectify it. So I'm going to start from this end and cool the welds down as I'm welding. So I'm going to grab my compressor and just every little weld I do, I'm just going to blast the compressor on it just to keep it cool, because I don't want anything to be thrown any more out of shape. So yeah, I'm going to get the welder right now and just start tacking this in place, and then I'm going to go around it and weld it all in properly. Okay, so now that's tacked in, I should be able to pull this off without anything popping. There's one, that's a good sign. So the idea is just to keep the bonnet skin as tight to this 3mm steel as much as I can. Looks good. Okay, so what I'm going to start doing now I've tacked all of this in place, I'm very happy with how it is. I'm not going to show you the other side yet, but it's looking pretty good. I'm going to start doing 4 little tack welds. So like it'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, right next to each other, and then I'm going to blast it with the cold air. The idea of that, I can then cover a much greater distance, and it won't warp the bonnet if I keep the cold air on it. So that's what I'm going to do right now for you. So I'm going to do 4 little tacks, move about 6 inches, another 4 little tacks, another 6 inches, 4 little tacks, and just work it like that all the way around, and it should turn out perfect. One bit of an issue I've got down here. It's very, I can't get in there with a welder really, but I can get as far as I possibly can. But I don't want to go too far down there and create too much heat. But at the moment, it's absolutely perfect, and there's no warpage or little dinks or dents or anything. So I'm going to try and stay away from this bit for now, because the other side was an absolute nightmare. So I'm going to try and just crack on with this for you and get this done. So this is what I mean. I'm just going to go 1 weld, and then 2, then 3, then 4. And quickly, as soon as I can, I'll get the air gun on there. Sorry, ignore the noise of the compressor, but you should be able to touch that now, and yeah, see, I can literally hold that now and it's not hot at all. Whereas if I didn't use the hot air on it, it probably would be melting my skin off my hand right now. So literally just a little bit of cold air and it's good to go then, and it causes 0 warpage, so you'll never have a problem with it. So that's what I'm going to do. I've done 4 there now, I'm going to do another 4 down here, and so on, so on. Sorry about the noise again. Okay, so I've welded that bar in now, and as you can see, I haven't gone all the way around with the welds on both sides, just because it's unnecessary really. You don't have to do that. It's a waste of time in my opinion, because it's not a structural weld. It's never gonna stop the car from falling apart. It's just a little reinforcement. I think I've gone a bit overkill with the welds that I've currently done. So that I'm more than happy with. So this leads me on to the next thing. If you look down it now, the big bulges have gone. I'm just left with loads of little ones now. Oh, ignore all these, this is just where it's burnt through the paint. But if you look down, you've got loads of little ripples now. So I'm now going to take my hammer and just smack the crap out of it really. So I've got a big one here that needs smacking up. As you can see, I don't think you can actually see it in the light. It dips in really bad there. Oh yeah, I can't really show you. You might be able to pick it up on the camera. But it does dip in quite bad there, so I'm going to have to smack it from the underside so it comes up level with the bonnet, and then I can give it a skimmer filler. And all of those little ripples as well. It's just a game now of tapping them out with the hammer, and a little dolly on the other side. So I'm going to crack on with that for you, and hopefully it turns out just as good as this side. I'm only joking, of course it is, we know it is. Come on. Okay, so that's all welded up in place now. I'm really happy with how it looks. All I've got to do now is get rid of these little burn marks that are caused from the welds. So I'm going to use a wire wheel with a grinder to get rid of all that and take it back to bare metal. So it's something I can apply the filler to. Whereas if you just apply filler to paintwork directly, it's not good because it can pick off. You don't want that to happen. You want to apply it directly to bare metal. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to file all these nasty high bits down that were caused from the weld from the underside. And I'm going to get started with that and then start filling for you. So let's go. Also, before I go any further with this, I'd just like to let you know I haven't forgot about tapping the dents out. I'm going to do that once all of the paint's actually gone off it, so it's easier to actually see the dents. So yeah, that's the plan. Don't think I forgot about it. Okay, so as you can see now, I've beaten all of those bigger dents out, and I'm just left with these tiny little dinks that are in it, and I can get rid of those with some fiberglass filler. So the reason I'm using fiberglass filler for this is because it's directly to metal and I need it for strength really, whereas if I was to put normal filler over it, it stands a chance of cracking if I was to go over a speed bump a bit too quick or something like that, or hit a pothole. But if you're using fiberglass filler, it's a lot more rigid, it's a lot stronger as well, and also I need it for in here as for in this little recess here, as it will help for strength, and it also fills in the deeper bits that I can't actually get into with the welder. Well, I can get in there, but it's not worth doing because I'll have to grind it all day and I won't be able to get in there. So these bits here will be fiberglass filled, and then it will turn out looking like this. So that's the plan. So I'm going to start mixing up some fiberglass filler now and get it applied for you and show you how I do that. Okay then, so with this fiberglass filler, it's pretty much the same as normal filler. It uses the same hardener and the principles are exactly the same, where it's one pea-size piece of hardener to one golf ball size piece of filler. And the reason I use the fiberglass filler is, like I just explained, it's more for strengthening parts really, because if you use normal filler, if you hit a bump in the road, it could crack it. Because the sudden jolt to it can crack the filler as it's fragile. This stuff is absolutely solid when it goes off, and you've got no worry of it cracking. And if you prep it properly, it should never pop off either. If you're going directly over paint, it stands a chance of it coming away. Whereas if you're going directly to metal, like what I've done here, it stands pretty much zero chance of it ever popping off, and it also helps with the strength. So, like I said, literally one pea size. Oh, probably two golf ball sizes, that is. So there you go, two large peas, and literally just mix it exactly the same. Okay, so that's mixed now. I'm just going to show you guys how I apply it to the bonnet. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is literally slap it on from here and then smooth it all the way down to this end, and that should fill in any of the big holes that are protruding or sunk, oh, not protruding, sorry, any of the holes that have sunken into the bonnet. It gives me a nice base layer to then start using body filler over the top. A lot better, that is. You can feel it already through the spatula that it's absolutely sound. Now I remember from doing the other side that it dips here because of where I've welded it. So I'm just gonna apply a bit more fiberglass filler to this piece so it brings it further up. I can't tap it out because of how close it is to the welds. So I'm just gonna build it up with a bit of fiberglass filler. And that should be absolutely perfect. Okay, so all of this has dried off now. I'm just going to take my sander with 60 grit sandpaper on it just to smooth this all down. I'm using 60 grit because this is really hard stuff to sand, and 60 grit's the only stuff that sort of gets through it all right. So I'm just going to do that for you now, and then we're going to apply some normal filler to it once this has been smoothed off. So I'm going to get started right now for you. Okay, so as you can see here, it's pretty much smooth now, and you can see these little low spots here where the sander hasn't reached. So these parts need to be targeted most when I'm filling it over. And you can also notice these parts here where the metal is now showing. So these are high spots. These spots I'm gonna have to just tap out now with the little hammer and a dolly on the other side. So I'm just gonna tap these out so they become more flush with the other part of the bonnet as well that's got filler on it. And from then I'm just going to start filling as well. As you can see, there's a few more high spots here and here and here. So again, I'm just going to tap them down, and the low spots I'm going to fill over with the filler, and it should turned out pretty good once all that's done. It's turned out a lot better than that side has. So it's a win in my books. Alright, I'm more than happy now with how this is looking. So I'm going to start mixing up some filler and I'm going to get that straight on for you guys. Okay, I'm happy with how this is all filled now. I'm gonna have to wait about half an hour for it to dry off, and then I'm gonna have to sand it back down again. The honest truth is, you can never really get this in one go. It's gonna have to be built up with multiple layers of filler, and the only way of doing that is by letting it dry off, sand it back down so you can determine where the high and the low spots are. Once you can determine that, you can then focus on those patches and then build it out to where it has to be. So I'm gonna skip forward probably half an hour, 40 minutes, and wait for this to dry and I'll see you there. Okay, it's been about half an hour now. The filler has hardened. So I'm going to go over it now with the sander and just take the rough edges off it, and we'll see where we stand with it once I've done that. Okay, so the main grunt of it is sanded down now, it's nice and smooth. I am going to get out of here for a bit because there's no ventilation and the dust is choking me, so I'm going to go outside for a little bit. Okay, so you've joined me at the final stage of the filler now. I didn't want to bore you doing the other layers of filler and sanding them down because no one really wants to see that, it gets a bit tedious. So you've joined me at this stage. I'm hoping this is the final layer, and as you can see, I've gone over the front end and filled this in as well. And I've filled the front of the bonnet in because when I cut this scoop out, it bent the metal, so I've had to try and fill this gap here so it's nice and smooth again. So I'm going to go over it all now with the sander and try and make it a nice shape. I've had to go back up there as well because there was a little dip right here. So I'm going to go over it now with the sander and try and get it perfectly level, and then we can move on to Dolphin glazing it. So Dolphin glaze is basically filler, but it's more of a liquid form, and I'm going to be using that to get rid of some of the pinholes that were left behind from the normal body filler. So once I've sanded all this down, I'm then going to be applying the Dolphin glaze to it. So I'm going to get started on this straight away. Okay, so when I start sanding this bonnet, I won't go across it like this, and I won't go downwards like that. What you'll see me do is work it diagonally. The idea to that, it will actually create the same shape of the bonnet itself. So there's no problems with being high or low spots. It should turn out just perfect, the same shape as the bonnet, and you'll never even notice there. Whereas if you have to go across or downwards, it's going to create flat spots, and it's the last thing you want because you're going back over it with filler, and it's just creating so much work that you don't need. So I'll show you exactly how I do it. So you want to go just like that, across the bonnet, and you're probably thinking, when do you stop? I'd say when you stop is when you get little patches like this. I've got to smack that down with the hammer, so don't worry about that, I know about it. So when you get bodywork itself, the original bodywork of the car come through, that's when you need to start worrying, because that's a high spot. Then either you need to stop sanding because it's at its maximum and that's where it needs to be, or you've hit a high spot and that needs tapping down. So it's one or the other, but feeling it, that's pretty good so far. That is, I'm quite impressed myself. So yeah, you understand the basics now, and I'm going to carry on with it, save wasting time. It's getting very late. Okay, so I've sanded the bonnet down now to exactly how I want it. I am going to go around the whole thing again with Dolphin glaze. And I'm doing that to see if there's any high or low spots left behind that I may have missed from sanding it right now. Okay guys, it is a new day. As you can see, the Dolphin glaze has gone off. I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. So now I'm going to start sanding it, and when I'm sanding it, this should be the final layer, and then I can start priming the bonnet. Oh, one other thing. I did notice something about Sonnys GTi bonnet last night after looking at the pictures that I've got. And if you can see here, I've got to come around and show you. If you can see here, there is a little stub there, and that goes over here. So I completely overlooked that. I didn't know it was there, but I'm gonna have to put that in because I can't leave that knowing that it's in the picture. So that is gonna have to be done now. Step one to making this weird little nugget support looking thing, I'm gonna draw it out on a template first, and then I'm gonna cut this template out, and also obviously do the sides as well, and then I'm going to weld them together and then weld them to the bonnet. I might have a bit of a problem with heat warp with the bonnet, so I'm going to use the compressor again and keep it cooled the whole time I'm welding, because I'm in the final stages now with the Dolphin glaze and everything, and this little hiccup has popped up. So it needs to be addressed now, it needs to be sorted, and I'm hoping that it doesn't warp the bonnet, because it's just more time filling and bashing out dents, and you get the gist of it. So I'm gonna draw this out for you and get it all welded up, and hopefully everything goes to plan, I'm hoping. So we'll see how it goes. Okay then, this weird little thing is now in place. It's all welded up, it's tight, and look at that, sorted. I have slipped a little bit with the grinder there, but we shall not talk about that. So now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to fiberglass fill around the edges and that little piece where I slipped the grinder. I'm going to fiberglass fill that as well. And then once that is all dry, then we can start putting normal filler over the top of it, then a bit of Dolphin glaze. So basically repeating the process of this, just on this little piece. But I'm so glad I spotted it now before I completely finish this. I thought, yeah, that looks really good. Then I'll spot that later on and be like, oh, okay, this needs addressing. But it's done now. So I'm gonna get on with this straight away, and while the fiberglass filler is setting, I will shape the rest of the bonnet so I'm utilising my time properly. Let's get started. So that's pretty much done now. I'm not going to waste any of your time by going through the process of what happened, because obviously you know, because you've seen the rest. So with this, I've got to sand this little bit down here, and then obviously Dolphin glaze over the top of it to get them little imperfections that will definitely be there. And then I'm going to go around the whole thing now and sand it all back. I know I've been talking about it, but this time I'm going to do it. Okay, that should hopefully be the final skim of Dolphin glaze for the main big parts. The rest of it I'm very happy with, apart from there's a piece here and on the opposite side there. They're both bow outwards, which is kind of strange really, but I've got to fill them out and they should be bang on level then, so this line should be dead straight. Also, I've just got to go around now and trim these little edges while I'm waiting for this to dry. That shouldn't take too long to dry either, it should be about 10 minutes. But I'm going to go around and get rid of all of the little bits of filler that are over these vent holes, and by the time I finish that, I should be ready to start sanding again on these, hopefully.
Hey, I got something to say. I'm just so sick of hearing everyone complain. I know it's tough and I know there's pain, but hitting bottom is the only way to change.
I'm finally done now. As you can see, I've probably got cancer with how much dust I've just breathed in. I should have wore a mask. I know, don't get me started. But it's done, and I can now get ready to prime it. First, I've just got to give it a clean over with some IPA. Okay, so all of this is cleaned off now. It's as spotless as I'm going to get it. And now you're about to find out why they call me Rattle Can Dan. So let's get started.
I've seen a lot of people who don't know what work is. I've seen a lot of people who don't know what thirst is. I've had a taste of evil and tried to cure the sickness, but I just keep my head down and focus on the facts. I'm setting down gravel while you just follow the path. I'll lead them into battle while you're just too scared to act. I'll leave a knife right in my back. So I'll keep hustling, you keep struggling. Bitch, I'm humbling, keep mumbling. I'll keep doubling, you keep bluffing. You've got nothing, I'll keep hustling.
Okay guys, the bonnet is finally finished. As you can see, this is just the first coat of primer, so I will be putting more on. But you can see that there's a few little patches here and here where I'm just highlighting. That's nothing to do with high or low spots. That's literally because the filler was a different color to the bonnet that was underneath. So because it's only the first coat of primer, it's showing through. The moment I put a second coat of primer on, they become invisible. So apart from those things that are clearly obvious, there is a little bit here that I have to go back over with some filler because I need it as sharp as this side, but that's going to be a 15-minute job. I won't be doing it in this video. It's something that I'm going to do off camera. But apart from that piece, everything is absolutely perfect. The vents are looking absolutely bang on. There's a fly there. Sorry, went off topic. The vents are looking bang on. I've just got to put some mesh in the vents when it gets painted. And you're probably thinking, why have I rattle canned the bonnet? Why didn't I do it properly? Because this bonnet isn't going to be painted for probably another 5 months when the body kit itself is fully built. And I need it in primer at the moment so it doesn't rust if there's any like exposed pieces of metal that I've sanded too far down. I don't want it rusting because it is a bit damp in my unit. So it's primered, and I'm more than likely going to take this bonnet off now and just pull it somewhere safe and out of the way so I don't scratch it. And when it comes to the time of getting it painted, I can then just send it off, so there's no worries with that. But I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. Maybe you've learned a thing or two along the way, and maybe you've learned a thing or two and not what to do, because I don't wear masks and stuff, so yeah, wear your masks. But I hope you have enjoyed the video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys do watch these videos, and it gives me the motivation to carry on doing these sort of builds, so I really do appreciate all the support that you guys give. Also, one other thing before I go. I am starting another YouTube channel up, and it's nothing to do with Need for Speed cars. It's actually to do with rock box cars like this. So I don't want to ruin it for you, but this is the first car that I'm going to be doing on the new channel. It is a Honda SMX. It's a very rare car. There's probably less than 30 on the UK roads, but I'm going to be restoring this car because it's a bit rusty around the sides, but I'm not going to go too much into it. And hopefully you guys find this stuff interesting because it's more relatable to the public, seeing little crap cars being brought back to life. But I'm not going to go off topic too much because I'm going to let you guys find the channel yourselves and, well, give me your opinion on it. So I'll leave a link in the description for this channel if you guys are interested in watching it. Again, all your support means a lot to me. So I won't waste any more of your time. Thank you again so much for watching. I really do appreciate all of it. And make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me.